Yeah, friends. So, welcome back to a new chapter, which is pollution in environmental economics, which is pollution causes, consequences, and control. In this chapter, we have three major pollutions which we have to deal with. Generally, we have one more, which is also land pollution. But over here, we have only three, which is air, water, and noise pollution. Its causes, consequence, and how to control. The word pollution comes from a Latin word called as pollutionem, which means to make dirty. Environmental pollution is a serious problem of the industrial societies because people have converted the life supporting system of the entire living world into their own resources, as a result of which they have made the air, water, and the surroundings around them impure. Now, a little bit of history will be there as to how the changes in technology and the attitude of human being have brought about lots of pollution in the environment. This we can see in different ages. In the initial stages we see about the different ages. Then we have the European Dark Age, whereby because of it was a great boon for the environment, where the industrial activity fell. So whenever the industrial activity comes down and the population comes down, automatically the air will be pure. That can be seen clearly in the last 2 years. Because of corona, industries and the vehicles were all shut because of shutdown. As a result of lockdown, as a result of which the environmental condition have bettered, ecological balance have bettered, the ozone layer has regained its situation. So that has been a good sign for the world throughout. But gradually, when the population increases, industries increases, there is greater impact of the pollution happening. The earliest known writings, the many writers have written about this. Just go through all this literature that has come against air pollution. King Edward I of England banned the burning of sea coal by proclamation in London in 1272. Smog, the Great Smog of 1950. Now, as you know, what is smog? Generally in India, we face smog in Delhi. What is smog? Smog is a situation whereby the smoke coming out of the vehicles, the dark smoke coming out of the vehicles get mixed up with the environmental fog. In cold areas like Delhi and all, there is fog in the environment during winter season. So this smoke and fog get mixed and form something called as smog, which reduces the visibility of the vehicles that are moving and which leads to lots of accidents. So that is the smog situation. Now, it was the industrial revolution that gave birth to environmental pollution as we know it today. So industrial revolution has played a major role in changing the environment into a polluted one. The pollution level has increased because of this thing. The emergence of great factories and consumption of immense quantities of coal and other fossil fuels gave rise to unprecedented air pollution, and large volume of industrial chemical discharges added to the growing load of untreated human waste. Chicago and Cincinnati were the two first to American cities to enact laws ensuring cleaner air in 1881. So different laws were enacted in order to see to it that the environmental pollution comes down. And this has extended. The industrial revolution which started over there has extended itself to world throughout because of the growing population. To meet the needs of the growing population, industrial revolution was necessary, and which has gradually turned the entire world into a polluted place to live on. Now, what is the meaning of pollution? We are all well aware of environmental pollution. Our planet Earth differs from other planets in having an environment. The biosphere in which living beings have their sustenance has oxygen, nitrogen, CO2, carbon, argon, and water vapor. All these are well balanced to ensure. So, in order to support life, we have environment. Now, what happens in pollution is this life supporting situation is polluted or is made dirty, as a result of which existence of life becomes impossible. So, the introduction of contaminants into the environment is called as environmental pollution. The noise, heat, light, water, and chemical substances are getting polluted day by day. Now, due to environmental pollution, the air, water, and land are affected. Environmental pollution causes the drastic changes such as depletion of the ozone layer, global warming and climate change are happening in the world. Now, the surface runoff, liquids, spills, and wastewater discharge and leakage into groundwater are the main reasons for water pollution. The toxins spilled on the ground causes soil pollution. According to National Environment Research Council, pollution is the accumulation of any foreign material like organic, inorganic, biological or radiological in nature, which may affect living organisms directly or indirectly or affect a long time. In other words, environmental pollution can be defined as any undesirable changes in the chemical, physical or biological characters of any factor of the environment which can cause negative effect on different types of life and wealth. So that is what is about pollution. Now, types of pollution. Now, what are the different types of pollution? In this chapter, actually, we have 3 types of pollution. Though I told there are 4 or more also now, because the extent of pollutions are increasing. But in your chapter, you have to study only 3 types of pollution: air, water and noise. Now, what is air pollution? Air is the ocean we breathe. So, what we breathe is called as air. Air is 99.9% nitrogen, oxygen, water vapor and inert gases. Human activities can release substances into the air, some of which can cause problems for human, plants and animals. There are several types of pollution and the well-known effects of pollution which are commonly discussed. This include, now what are the different types of pollution and what are the different serious issues. This includes smog, acid rain, the greenhouse effect and the holes in the ozone layer because of air pollution. One type of air pollution is the release of particles into air from burning fuel from energy. Diesel smoke is a good example of particulate matter. That means when you are this is being burned, the fuel is being burned, particles are released into the environment, as a result of which the air becomes polluted. The particles are very small piece of matter measuring about 2.5 microns or about 0.0001 inches. This type of pollution is referred to as black carbon pollution. Note it down, it's black carbon pollution. The exhaust from burning fuels in automobiles, homes and industries is a major source of pollution in the air. Some authorities believe that even the burning of wood and charcoal in fireplaces and barbecues can release significant quantities of soot in the air. Another type of pollution is the release of noxious gases such as sulfur dioxide, CO2, SO2, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides and chemical vapors. These can take part in further chemical reaction once they are in the atmosphere, forming smog and acid rain. So this is another kind of the impact of pollution that can happen. The table in the next page summarizes some sources of and the effects of these air pollutants. The principal pollutants, which are the main air pollutants. First of all, sulfur dioxide, SO2, produced when fossil fuels high in sulfur are burned during melting or from industrial process. First is SO2. Second is NO2, that is nitrogen oxide. Okay, nitrogen, not dioxide. Any oxides of nitrogen are poisonous. Produced from mobile sources like cars, moving vehicles, cars, stationary sources like power plants, etc. are called as NO, nitrogen oxides. Particulate matters refers to fine particles suspended in air. Small particles which are suspended in air. Classified by its size, particles of less than 10 microns in diameter are designated as PM10 and particles of less than 2.5 microns are PM2.5. PM is released from vehicles, power plants and industrial process in nearly equal measures. Now that is, now in this table we have the major sources of the pollutants, the health effects and the environmental effects. The 3 columns are there. So from industry we have SO2 coming out. The health effect is respiratory and cardiovascular illness, heart illness, and the environmental effect, acid rain, damages in rivers, okay, etc. Nitrogen oxides, vehicle industry, from vehicles it comes. Respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, again nitrogen disposition leading to over fertilization and eutrophication. Then vehicle industry we have PM, particulate matter. From again vehicles we have carbon monoxide. Lead is coming out from vehicle, that is burning of leaded gasoline. Ozone is being ozone becomes an issue formed by reactions of nitrogen oxides and VOCs. Again, from vehicle industrial process, we have other gases coming out. So just go through the sources and effects of the common air pollutants. Now, other pollutants are CO, carbon monoxide. It's an odorless gas emitted from vehicles. Again, a pollutant. Then we have lead coming out from metal processes. Then we have ozone created under certain weather conditions by VOCs, and nitrogen oxides. Unlike the protective layer of ozone found in the Earth's stratosphere, ozone in the troposphere, where most plants and animals live, creates a photochemical smog and is highly toxic. That is ozone. Then we have what is VOC? VOC is volatile organic compounds, include hydrocarbons, alcohols, aldehydes, which are actually playing a major role in the in being a pollutant with respect to the environment. Now, what are the causes of air pollution? So, these things actually are things which you can think and write on your own. Let's go through. There are two categories of air pollution. They are natural factors and man-made factors. Now, naturally, which are pollutants? Natural cause of air pollution include volcanic eruptions releasing dust and gas. When there is a volcano eruption, it leads to release of dust and gases into atmosphere, and acid rain polluting the environment, air, forest fires, then sea salt crystals all cause natural air pollution. Now, what are man-made? First of all, increasing use of motor vehicles. We know when the motor vehicles increases, cars or other vehicles increases, the smoke that is coming out of them is a pollutant. Industries release smoke which is very poisonous to the environment. Then combustion of hydrocarbon fuel like coal, wood and petroleum is one of the sources of air pollution. The simple form of combustion is using of fuels such as cow dung. When you burn cow dung or wood or coal or kerosene, all this becomes issues. Modernization in agriculture. Modernization in agriculture lead to use of more and more dosage of fertilizers. And when agriculture is being modernized, fertilizers are more and more fertilizers are used, which results in lots of pollution. Use of solvents like nail polish and all, we use chemicals, no? That is also an important source of pollution. Mining and quarry. When you dig this thing below the earth to take up mines, coal or quarry activities are there, it releases lot of air pollutants. Indoor activities, tobacco smoking, cooking, heating appliances, all these also causes. Fridges, all this causes actually air pollution. Radioactive materials. The radioactive materials are another important cause responsible for air pollution. Nuclear waste are released from the atmosphere. All the nuclear reactors and the plants are another source of pollution. In addition to the above mentioned causes, other factors such as increased use of chemicals and petrochemicals, population concentration cities, deforestation, all these are important causes of pollution. Now, the consequences of air pollution. Now, what is the after effect of air pollution? So, in the United States and most developed countries, nitrogen oxides and SO2 emissions generally associated with fossil fuels and fossil fuel driven power generation has significantly decreased even as electricity production has increased. Now, with developed countries generally try to put up industries or vehicles which are environmentally friendly. Now, eco-friendly is a term that we use in vehicles when we buy these vehicles. So, they have tried to focus on eco-friendly vehicles. These results are generally due to the stricter standards from in both engines and fuels. In most developing countries, however, increasing number of vehicles, power plants and factories have not been accompanied by cleaner technology. In developed country, they can spend more so that they have a clean technology which is environmental friendly. But in developing countries, you don't have so much money to spend, as a result of which they go for a cheaper type of technology which are not environmental friendly. Air pollution has been a particular problem in Asia, which accounts for 65% of all pollution related deaths. So, this is the graph of how pollution has resulted in developed and Developed country, it has come down from 1990 to 2000, it has come down. Whereas for developing countries, it has gone up. Now, for each city, the exact cause of pollution may be different depending on the geographical location, temperature, wind, weather factors, etc. However, sometimes this does not happen and the pollution can build up to dangerous levels. A temperature inversion occurs when air close to the earth is cooler than the air above it. Under these conditions, the pollution cannot rise and be dispersed. Cities surrounded by mountains also experience trapping of pollution. Summer inversions are more likely to create smog, which generally happens in Delhi. Consequences of air pollution are discussed below. We are discussing with the consequences of air pollution. First of all, health effects. Your health is damaged because of air pollution. The air pollution can affect your health in many ways with both short-term and long-term effect. Of course, as you know, health-wise, what are the different effects that we have? Some individuals are more sensitive to pollutants. You get a lot of allergies, asthmas, bronchitis, your liver and kidney functioning starts becoming weak, your lungs, respiratory disorders creep in. The extent to which an individual is harmed by air pollution usually depends on the total exposure to the damaging chemicals. First of all, short-term health effects. Short-term, what is it? Irritation to eyes, nose and throat, and upper respiratory infections such as bronchitis and pneumonia. Other symptoms can include headaches, nausea and allergy. So, smog disaster was one of the biggest disaster that happened because of air pollution. Now, long-term includes chronic respiratory diseases, lung cancer, heart disease, and even damage to brain, nerves, liver and kidneys. Continued exposure to air pollution affects the lungs of growing children and may aggravate or complicate medical conditions in the elderly. It is estimated that 500,000 people die prematurely every year in the United States as a result of smoking cigarettes. So, health issues are divided into two. They are short term and long term. That we can write by your own. Yeah. Second, environmental effect. Now, what are the environmental effects? Climate change on a global scale has been attributed to increased emissions of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas. A global average temperature rise of only 1 degree Celsius could have serious implications. Possible consequences include melting of polar ice caps, increase in sea level, increase in precipitation, severe weather events like hurricanes, tornadoes, heat waves such as floods, droughts. All these are environmental changes. The first one was this one, health changes. Second is environmental changes. Now, important environmental effects on air pollution are discussed. First of all, acid rain. The rain becomes acidic and it comes down. One of the consequences of outdoor air pollution is acid rain. When a pollutant such as sulfuric acid combines with droplets of water in the air, the water can become acidified. The effects of acid rain on the environment can be very serious. It damages plants by destroying their leaves. It poisons the soil and it changes the chemistry of lakes and streams. Damage due to acid rains kill trees and harm animals, fish and other wildlife. So, that is about acid rain. Second is greenhouse effect. It is also referred to as global warming. It is generally believed to come from the buildup of carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is produced when fuels are burned. Plants convert carbon dioxide back to oxygen, but the release of carbon dioxide from human activities is higher than the world's plants can process. So, even if you have trees, actually the trees process carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, but because of human activities, because of our industries, because of our vehicles, the amount of carbon dioxide that are coming out is so big that even the plants cannot convert them into oxygen. So, it's so big. Yeah, so they cannot convert it into oxygen, as a result of which the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is very high. This building up acts like a blanket and traps heat close to the surface of the earth. So, they form like we have blanket during the winter season, this also becomes a blanket, and the heat that comes to the earth doesn't go back, as a result of which the temperature on the earth increases, which leads to melting of this ice and all. On the consequence, the polar ice cap melting could be a rise in global sea level, resulting in widespread coastal flooding can happen. Ozone depletion. There is a layer of ozone which is present in the atmosphere, which actually protect us from the harmful UV rays of the sun. The sun is not only the source of energy, but also harmful UV rays come from sun, but this act as a protection from the harmful UV rays. Now, ozone depletion, it is another result of air pollution. Chemicals released by our activities affect the stratosphere, one of the atmospheric layers surrounding Earth. The ozone layer in the stratosphere protects the Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Release of chlorofluorocarbons from aerosol cans, cooling systems and refrigerator equipment removes from the some of the ozone, causing holes to open up in this layer and allowing the radiation to reach the earth. That is the ozone depletion. Next is smog. The presence of unburnt hydrocarbons produced by automobiles and aeroplanes results in smog. It is a type of large-scale outdoor air pollution. It is caused by chemical reactions between pollutants derived from different sources, primarily automobile exhaust and industrial emissions. Cities are often centers of these types of activities, and many suffer from the effects of smog, especially during the warm months of the year. It causes eye-watering, lung diseases, headache, loss of vision. Now, this smog we find in Delhi. Even if you Google up and see what a smog is happening in Delhi, you can see clearly how smog becomes dangerous. So, there are two consequences basically. First was health consequence, which is short-term and long-term health consequence. Then we have environmental effect, which were 4 in number. First is acid rain, greenhouse effect, ozone depletion and smog. Now, third one, economic effect. The effects of air pollution on human health and the environment has economic impact also. According to Healthy People 2000 report, each year in the United States, the health cost of human exposure to outdoor air pollutant range from $40 to $50 million. An estimated 50,000 to 1,20,000 premature deaths are associated with exposure to air pollutants. Now, people with asthma experience more than 100 million days of restricted activity. They cannot go out to work. Cost for asthma exceeds $4 billion and about 4,000 people die of asthma. Now, this shows that even the economy is affected when the environment is not healthy, when the environment is not safe, when the environment is not clean. What happens is the entire economic activity is also impacted. The Environmental Defense Fund article, why is it better to buy green electricity, states that acid rain causes $6 million a year in damage to crops, forests, lakes and buildings. The potential economic impact of global warming is estimated to be in the billions of dollars. So much loss is happening because of environmental pollution. Increasing reliance on green sources reduces financial risks such as future regulations, taxes on greenhouse gases and price fluctuations associated with fossil fuels. Green resources increase US energy self-sufficiency and thus economic security. By reducing reliance on fossil fuels imports, they also help reduce current rapid depletion of natural resources. So, in India, over 80% major industry are located in 4 industrial belts centered around Jamshedpur, Bhilai, Durgapur, Rourkela, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai and Bangalore. So, over here the rate of pollution is also very high. And what are the methods to control air pollution? Of course, there are certain methods which we have to undertake, but at the same time there are many legal measures also. There are certain laws also which are passed to see to it that the environmental pollution doesn't happen. First of all, assessment. we have to see, first step to solve air pollution assessment. They have to go out and assess what is the level of air pollution, what kind of pollution, which all particles are there in the air which is causing more pollution, and then from where is it coming, and accordingly we have to take steps. Second, legislative measures. Legislative measures are legal measures. Laws are passed in order to see to it that the environmental pollution doesn't happen. First of all, the Environment Protection Act of 1986. Under this act, necessary provisions are made for the protection and improvement of environment and for matters connected therewith. Second, Article 48A of the Constitution was added to the Constitution of India by the 42nd Constitution Amendment Act. This act imposed a duty on the government to protect and improve the environment. Next is Article 51A. This act imposed a duty on citizens of India to protect and improve the natural environment. Next is the Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1981 as amended in 1988, 1938 as amended in 1988, the Public Liability Insurance Act. All these acts are passed in order to save the environment. Governmental and non-governmental agencies involved in conservational issues are as follows. Which are the agencies involved? There is ITRC, NERI, NNRMS, SPCB, TR. These are bodies which see to it that the environmental pollution doesn't happen. Next are preventive measures. It is another key to controlling pollution. The regulatory agencies mentioned above play an essential role in reducing and preventing air pollution. Environmental education. Like, people should be taught, why should we go for a clean environment? Education should be given to the people to see to it that the people don't, like the younger generation, the children at school should be taught why saving the environment is important. The Cleaner and Greener Environment Program. Since our own electricity use is only responsible for 14% of the total emissions, using cleaner electricity will only address part of our total emissions. If we want to clean up the environment, we need solutions, and that address all the emissions we cause. So the electricity also which we use, each and every one of us should cut down the number of pollutants which we are creating. Proper ventilation. Adequate ventilation is also a key to control exposure to indoor pollutions. If there is a good ventilation at our workplace, at our office, at our homes and all, that will lead to a better condition of air within the rooms. Next is legislations to control smoking. One of the most dangerous air pollutants is cigarette smoke. Restricting smoking in public places will bring down a good number of pollution, which leads to actually lung cancer and all. It can come down. Now, only through the efforts of scientists, business leaders, legislators and individuals can we reduce the amount of air pollutants on the planet. This challenge must be met by all of us. Find out what you can do to reduce air pollution. This kind of activity is given to you. What can you do to reduce air pollution? So for this we finish with air pollution. In the next session we will deal with water pollution.